try that. That's awesome. That's really good.
The skin party.
That's insane. I know it's been sitting here. Honestly, we poured this wine and it's been sitting here and it's absolutely fantastic. Guys, welcome back to episode 80 of the Happy Hour, Wine for the People, the only show left on the internet where we don't take ourselves as seriously as the wines, and even then, it's arguable if we even do at all. Justin Hess, straight in the comments, retaining the crown. Where were you yesterday, Justin? We missed you. Hopefully you were out supporting a really cool small venue that's opening up, and if not, hopefully there's a big venue. Any venue. It's like airport rules. No rules. It's anarchy. Kerry, Carter, Ruth, Neves, Jicky, guys, thank you so much. Great to have you back. Tonight we have an absolutely amazing guest, as we always do. But this one in particular is really quite interesting. I discovered this particular person's wines quite a while ago, actually. It was in WA, I think. Was it in WA? It was in WA. Where was it in WA? I tried a pet nat. Someone was like, hey, look, someone says this pet nat's pretty good.
Italian pasta.
It was at... it'll come to me. Lulu Delizia. See? Came to me. And it was old mate out there that was like, hey, look, Fiano. It's a Fiano and it's a pet nat. You know, you're pretty up on Fiano, and it was one of those cases of, you know, why don't you let us know whether it's good or not? You know, try to play me against the better man over here. And I loved it so goddamn much. I think we ended up selling a shitload of it to WA anyway, and then notwithstanding, we ended up buying a ton and then sending it out in our first Unico & Co pack, I believe. Actually sending it out to all of our customers because, I tell you what guys, if you, and I've said this about a few producers and a few producers that I'll put my name to, if you don't know about this producer, you really should. You genuinely should. And I'm talking about Alex Sherrah. Mate, thanks so much for joining us.
What an intro.
What an intro. Now, Alex, we did indeed meet. We were discussing this before. You met us at Parade Cellars, but I believe we met actually, and Laura has met Alex before as well. This is the old noggin working. Late 2011, we went on a bit of a date, a journey down to the Vale. And we got shown out the back by Simon, I think it was, from Coriol, and a new young gun that was working at Coriol at the time. Alex.
Who was probably digging out a ferment or something. No, not at that time of year, hopefully.
Not at that time of year, no, absolutely not.
Hopefully not waxing opens or something.
You went on, I think it was waxing opens. Yeah. I genuinely think it was you were waxing open. You were definitely in an open fermenter, that was for sure.
Getting ready.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So what, you very much quickly proceeded to become head winemaker of Coriol after that.
Yeah, brilliant opportunity.
Yeah.
So I've been up in Clare for 8 years or so with my wife, and got a job at Coriol. I always wanted to move back to the Vale. Loved the Vale. Started at Tatachilla at the beginning of my career, so I got this great job at Coriol, and then even better, the senior winemaker at Coriol, who was Simon, quit in about January or February.
And so how long after
2012?
How long after you started?
Well, he obviously didn't like me. I don't know, 3 months or something, 3 or 4 months.
Wow!
Yeah.
Yeah, just, well, I mean, look, I like to see the good in people, so hopefully he just had that much faith in you that he was like, you know what, Coriol's going to be all right in Alex's hands.
Like, luckily the Lloyds, who own Coriol, decided to give this young guy a crack, I suppose. And it worked. And I was there for about 7 years. And loved it.
So prior to Coriol, you said you're up in Clare. What were you doing up there?
You want like the rundown of
where'd you come from?
Where'd I come from? Definitely not a wine background.
No,
my dad,
financier, banker,
my dad drank.
Butcher.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure I wasn't going anywhere. Depends who you ask. But the majority would say going nowhere. Anyway, so I got back from travelling overseas and needed some money, and landed a vintage at Tatachilla.
Great.
When it still existed down in McLaren Vale.
Was that when, what year was this?
This was when some of my favourite people in the wine industry were working there. No, this was, so after that, it was like Justin McNamee.
Jesus!
Bryn Richards,
wow.
Adam Hooper, Matty Breckner, Michael Fragos, the senior winemaker.
Justin McNamee of Samuel's Gorge fame.
The rat bags of McLaren Vale, basically.
Yeah, pretty much is.
Running Tatachilla.
Seriously, if you meet any of these winemakers today, you wouldn't give them any winery to run.
So they've all gone on. They're all very successful.
They've all done really amazing
go
things.
And do brilliant things. And so I just fell in love with the actual industry, I suppose. The people, working hard and then playing hard after work. And then going back, a few hours later and doing it all over again.
Of course.
Sort of every day. And just went, this is brilliant, I'm going to do this. So I went and used my science degree, which I thought was useless, to do a postgrad in winemaking. And that was great. It was a year of, I actually managed to nearly apply myself to a year of university at some point in my life. And got my degree. And then what do? We headed overseas, did a vintage in Napa.
Yeah, cool.
Landed a vintage in Napa with my wife. I'm trying to remember if we weren't married then, girlfriend.
I thought you were going to say, trying to remember who she is.
Wife now. My wife now, Liz. So I did one in Napa, she did one in Modesto, and then while we were over there, we got jobs in Clare.
Brilliant. Both at the same time or the same place as well?
No, so she got a job at Pikes.
Nice.
And she stayed there for 8 years while we were in Clare.
Yeah, wow.
And I got a job at Napstein.
Brilliant.
I was there for a couple of years, and then I moved to O'Leary Walker.
Yeah, wow.
We were in Clare for 8 years and just loved it.
It's a big move, although from Clare to the Vale.
Yeah.
But I mean, Clare's probably one of the most underrated. I don't know. Some people would say it's not underrated. I think it's one of the most underappreciated wine regions in Australia, because it's one of the most. When you walk through a place, you just know you're in Australia. You couldn't mistake yourself as being in anywhere else but Australia.
It's got a beautiful country town atmosphere. The wines that come out of there are
insane, next level.
Underrated, but totally undervalued as well. You can pick up absolutely brilliant wine for
nothing.
Bargain.
Yeah.
And it's not just the Riesling, which everyone knows clear about. The Shiraz and Cabernet coming out of there is top notch, I reckon.
Yeah. Well, it's it's good stock. It's really great stock. But then you went from there down to Corriol.
Down to Vale. So we'd both sort of grown up in Adelaide, and
want to be a bit closer to it.
While I was trying to get my girlfriend to become my wife, I got her a vintage at Tatachilla as well, just to keep her close.
Keep her around.
Keep her close, so I could keep indoctrinating her with lies. So we just loved it. It's closer to our family who were down in Adelaide and Victor Harbour, and so got this amazing opportunity at Corriol, which then turned into a really amazing opportunity to be the senior winemaker
within 3 months.
Yeah.
So guys, I want to know from at home, whether for those guys playing at home, firstly, what are you drinking? And I want to know, irrespective of whether you're on the wines, on the beers, or on the waters. I also would like to know if you've ever had a run-in with Corriol wines. Have you tried much? I know I've tried my fair share of Corriol. Corriol was one of the few brands that sort of really got me into wanting to make wine actually in Australia. Unless so, I think I came back from France and studied here, and when I met Laura, we went across to Italy, and every single mission in my head was about trying to get us back to Italy. And then Corriol, and tasting all the wines out of Corriol, I was like, actually, I reckon these guys have nailed it. In fact, we made plans then to start things up in the Vale. And then we realised we couldn't afford anything, and somehow managed to fall into the Adelaide Hills. But what was it about Corriol that sort of drew? Was it purely a job? Was it purely to get to Adelaide? And what kept you there?
No. So, I guess my love of the actual wine grew while I was in the industry, because I really didn't even drink wine.
Really?
Not really.
Just shitloads of beer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Takes a lot of beer to make good wine, as they say.
I had drank wine, but I didn't really sort of think to appreciate it or think about it or anything. While I was in the industry, I obviously developed a much greater passion for it. And at O'Leary Walker, they also did a bit of contract making. So started seeing these alternate varieties coming through.
Of course.
Some interesting Italians like Tempranillo and Barbera, and so I sort of started to, there's more out there, I suppose. Yeah. And then started drinking more alternate varieties with friends and that sort of thing. And then knew Corriol. Obviously had heard of Corriol, knew Corriol, and the job came up, and so it was just like a no-brainer. I had to apply.
Had to apply.
Yeah.
Obviously, Mark Lloyd was very happy to have you. We had Mark Lloyd come through here once. I think it was 2015, maybe 16. And it was for me, it was a massive fanboy moment because Mark's story is intrinsically linked with the story of Fiano, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Sangiovese, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. So what's the background there?
And now Pickpool.
Now Pickpool. So what did they bring the variety in?
Yeah.
Is that right?
So Sangiovese, and forgive me, Mark, if I get any of this wrong, but Sangiovese was obviously grown in Australia. Had been grown in Australia, but Mark, in my understanding, was the first person to actually sort of bottle it as a single varietal.
Yep.
And go out into the market with.
So here's a Sangiovese.
This is my Sangiovese, and then they're all like, "What are you doing?" Like, I've got this Chianti. It comes in a little basket, and I can put it on the shelf with all the other ones with a candle in it when I finish with it. And Mark really championed Sangiovese.
Because it was like in the 70s, man. This was this was a while ago.
To start with, and he was very interested in what different varieties would grow well in the climate they were suited to. I suppose. Like when I was there, Corio had about 16 varieties. So he then wanted to bring in a white, because they'd been dealing with Chenin for a long, long time.
Of course.
But most of the other whites in McLaren Vale were then, there was Sauvignon Blanc and there was Chardonnay and
the same as everywhere else.
The same things that planted everywhere else, and people was, Mark probably before everybody could see these things not really working that well. So he went to Italy looking for a white variety that would suit McLaren Vale, and he found Fiano. And I think at the time, Fiano had nearly died out as a variety because the Italians had ripped it out and planted it with Sangiovese, which they could make more money out of. Mark managed to bring some back to Australia, so he brought it in, got it cultivated up, planted it, and then this statistic may have been skewed over the years, but this is kind of how big a thing it was. Like his acre and a half of Fiano or whatever was like 3% of the world's plantings at the time. I might have skewed it a little bit, but it was it had really
basically it's like almost completely wiped out. What year was it?
They've obviously still. So 05 was their first release.
He would have been starting this in the late 90s. The whole process.
I know they planted. I think 01 was the plantings, but they brought it in.
That is just after the Sydney goddamn Olympics.
Yeah.
That is incredible. That is incredible.
Yeah, but very, very progressive.
So you'd have one of the oldest, well, not you, but Coriol would have one of the oldest plots of Fiano in the country.
Yeah, well, so Mark didn't actually plant it first, I don't think. He asked, I reckon he asked Don Oliver.
Yeah, at Oliver's Tauranga, of course, Amazing Fiano producer. We had that sparkling Fiano last night.
And Don, maybe they planted it at similar time, I'm not sure. Planted it up, and then one of the other growers down there, the Lacey's, also put in a heap of Fiano. But now it's everywhere. Now it's in every wine region. Every place in this, every.
It is interesting to see because, of course, Fiano. We take Fiano from 3 different regions to showcase those regions, the differences across them. But I think we might have actually found a great variety that we might struggle to ripen in some areas because it does need a fair bit of heat. It does need a fair bit of sunlight exposure.
It likes it.
It really enjoys it. Thrives on a drought. It's a pretty smart little grape variety. But from a winemaking perspective, obviously you had never really encountered Fiano until you rocked up at Coriol.
Yeah.
What did you notice about it? Because you've continued on to do a lot of Fiano with Sherrah.
I love Fiano.
Yeah. So what was the tipping point for you that's like, hey man, this is actually a dope variety?
Yeah. So while I was working in Clare, I thought I loved Riesling. Still do. That was my thing. I was like, I love Riesling. Riesling's the best variety.
It's a winemaker thing.
Yeah.
Riesling and Pinot.
Moved to Coriol and found Fiano, which had generally a higher acid than Riesling. Even when you grow it in McLaren Vale and pick it at reasonable low-mows.
Yeah, it's the Barbera of whites.
Yeah.
Wait for the acid to drop.
And so that's, I guess, why I liked it. It had that. I mean, all my wines and varieties I think I work with all have a natural acidity, and I think that's that's the common thread in finding varieties that grow well in certain areas is
it's quite forgiving as well.
Retaining their acid.
You can on the winemaking side of things, we're not as skilled as you are, and we don't have as width the breadth of knowledge on winemaking. But I'll tell you what, we noticed you almost need to pursue an interventionalist path with a grape variety that's not suited to a particular area.
Yeah.
Whereas Fiano is just so forgiving. Like you could bit of skin contact, lots of skin contact, bit of oak, no oak. You can play around with it, and it's still going to come out looking like a pretty damn good wine.
Yeah.
Or at least an interesting one.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of playing around, Matriarch and Rogue has chimed in from Instagram asking, how long do you leave this on skins for?
Hello, Marnie. Hello. How you doing?
Because this is delicious, man. This is insane.
So this is the Skin Party Fiano that we're drinking.
Skin Party Fiano.
I floated a Skin Party at Coriol, which was Chenin, and Mark didn't really like the name, so I had to create a brand and do it myself. But this one's it's picked with it was picked by hand to start with.
Yeah.
The vines were quite young, but now it gets picked with a selective harvester.
It works pretty well with Fiano, actually.
Yeah.
Fiano's pretty robust.
So I pushed Mark towards it actually, like to try and get that skin contact into it. You didn't need to sort of hand pick it and spend the money. But so anyway, I love selective harvesters. So it comes into the winery like completely clean, just as berries.
Yeah.
So straight into 2-ton opens.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah, and literally just really sort of gentle cap management, I suppose. Just the patting down with the hands. Trying not to.
Okay. We've got a little segment on here called Getting Basic because we've got such a width and breadth of people that chime in between wine professionals and complete sort of wine novices to just people that just like to use this as a knockoff drink. Getting Basic, cap management. What is cap management?
So the cap is when you're fermenting wine on skins. The cap, once the actual juice starts fermenting and the carbon dioxide builds up, the skins will float, which forms the cap. I'm sorry to all the people that are like, I know. So you basically end up with a layer of wine underneath and then skins on top.
And you got to try
generally some seeds and stuff on the bottom. So the cap management for this was very gentle. So it's just pushing those skins down into the liquid to wet them again. Mm-hmm. Really didn't want to stir up any of the seeds.
Of course, yeah.
I think with skin contact on whites, you either go really, really long, or you kind of go much shorter.
Yeah, this is so gentle. This is fun.
3 weeks, it can kind of get quite harsh, I suppose, if you leave it a bit longer. But as the tannins come out of the seeds, I was just trying to avoid that. Gentle. Patting down and then just pressed, stored in.
Party's like an understatement for this wine because there is an aromatic to this.
It gets
that is just really sort of fun and lifted.
Ginger and
ginger's a really good one for
sort of not herbs but more sort of spice, I suppose.
It's like a cumin,
mandarin and stuff. Yeah.
I would drink a lot of this. #.
But I guess I always used a portion of it in my normal Fiano, whatever you want to call it, to get the texture, that sort of pithy character you get from the skins.
That's super fun.
And so as my volume sort of increased, I just wanted to do a standalone skinsy one.
How many Fianos do you do?
So it's 3 at the moment. It's just the tank fermented Fiano.
Yep.
The Skin Party Fiano and then the Pet Nat.
Yeah. Any plans on sort of expanding it out? And
not really. My wife's kind of sold me. I think 10 products is enough, so that'll do. Yeah.
Mine did too.
That did work for me.
Yeah. It's like 50 products later. But then I think I have a problem.
Different SKU. Distillery and the wine, and you can.
No, we literally do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Fianos. I just really like Fiano. Yeah. But I mean, it's interesting. We sort of had who do we have? Greg from Delinquente.
Yeah.
Amazing chap and amazing wines. And we were sort of positing, what would say a $300 Riverland wine look like? Or other days of $100 bottles gone. Is there a scope? Firstly, and it's a pretty wide one. Is there a scope for a $100 a bottle, Australian wine a la Yatana or what we do with Chardonnay across Margaret River? Could this actually potentially happen with Fiano? Do you think?
I don't see why not. I mean, it's a big conversation.
Yeah.
Dollars and
quality of wine, and it's really a branding thing, isn't it?
I mean, like when you grow Fiano down in McLaren Vale, it probably yields lower than Shiraz. You're paying the same dollars per ton as Shiraz. Like it costs, it costs a fair bit to make.
Yeah, it's a couple of $1,000
and then
bucks a ton easy.
Expect, because it's a white wine,
for it to be cheaper. That's why white wines in Australia typically offer remarkably better value than red wines at the top level.
Or Grenache Rosé in McLaren Vale. It's probably the most expensive thing you can make. And then the consumer wants it for $20 a bottle. And you have to give it to them for $20 a bottle.
Just don't make rosé. Just leave it to other people.
Yeah.
That's what.
No, you have to.
I've got to make rosé. Do you make rosé?
I do.
Yeah. Is it Grenache rosé?
Cost me a bloody fortune.
Yeah. Well, it is one of those things with rosé because that was I always got taught. It was actually a bit of a funny thing. I got taught to make rosé a la Sangnier.
Yeah. Before
I got taught to make rosé like you should make it.
Yeah.
And or not should make it. I just pretty unfair because there's amazing Sangnier. Okay, cool. I've got Stephen DeHorst in the background. People, everyone's favourite chocolatiers decided to come up and keep us company. And he just mouthed to me, "What the f is Sangnier?" Well, we're talking about having skins and having wine. Okay, imagine when you sort of crush up a whole bunch of grapes, shove it in a tank, and then you leave it for only a couple of hours, and you actually take out some of the juice. You actually filter it out. There could be like a screen, or you could easily, on a larger tank, separate it out pretty easily. So let's just say you take 10% of the wine away, and you're left with 90% of the juice left, but to the same amount of skins. So you have more skins to the juice. So it can inherently make, and they've sort of disproven this, it actually stops after a while. Like you can't just keep taking out juice and have like a highly concentrated something or other. It doesn't really work that way. But I think it's around about 5 to 10% is usually like anywhere beyond taking 5 to 10% away is not actually going to concentrate the red wine. But what do you do with this stuff? It's only actually touched the skins for like 3 or 4 hours. Sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less. But if you fermented that through, it's only got a tiny amount of skin contact, and therefore a tiny amount of colour and a tiny amount of body. And but what you typically find is you're harvesting these grapes for a red wine. That's the goal. You're trying to make dope red wine. You're not trying to make dope rosé and dope red wine. They're actually two completely different things, largely. There are sort of uncouth examples of both being fantastic. It could be something like a Carignan or a Cinsault. But typically, you've got, I guess, a couple of ways to make rosé. You can just pick grapes earlier. You can have a very cold site, obviously, for like Cabernet in the Adelaide Hills makes amazing rosé because it's never actually going to ripen to, maybe the off years, never going to ripen to being an amazing red wine. So make a great rosé out of it. Fantastic. Natural acidity, super bright, super fresh, and it sits in that sort of ripeness spectrum that's pretty much exactly right for rosé. You could Sangnier it, have your Sangnier or Salasso if you're in Italy, or you could do the most progressive thing that a lot of winemakers are doing these days and just grabbing a little bit of red, a little bit of white and just assholing that into a bottle and boom, you got yourself a rosé. Yeah. But that is also a legitimate style of making rosé. Just ask the Champenoise. How do you reckon rosé champagne is made? It's literally just champagne with a cheeky amount of red wine because they like the consistency of it. They've actually done studies. I think this is the coolest thing that I've ever read because you think red wine from Champagne can't be that good, right? Can't be. I mean, it's just too cold.
Can't say I've ever drunk a red champagne. Yeah.
But if you calculate the price difference, that the addition of that, it's like 4 or 5% red wine into like a bottle of champagne to make it a rosé champagne. But then they don't charge $120 a bottle for it. They charge you $300 a bottle for it. If you actually calculate back the price difference, its impact into that sparkling wine, you can actually calculate the price of the red wine component. Makes it the most expensive red wine in the world. See, the Champenoise, we're on to you. Yeah. We know what's going on. But you brought a blind tasting bottle for this evening, which Laura is ready to rock and roll with. A lot of high Stevens coming in from the crowd as well, from Christina, Kerry, 6+ Fianos, BC, more to come. Perhaps. There's actually more than that to come. And I did note, Ruth, was it yourself that's enjoying drinking Coriol Sangiovese tonight? Lockie George, Coriol Cab, Coriol Nero in 2015. Cab Nero blend, I think maybe 2015. But Lockie just reminded me of something. He dropped a bottle off of something. We had a bit of a thing going, how there was a grape variety with a funny name. that I thought that only Amato Vino, which is another great small producer, had produced a straight wine from something called Slanka Mancabella.
Yeah.
Slanka Mancabella. Steve's like, what is Slanka? It is a variety from like from the Balkans, mate.
It's a tasty word, isn't it?
Slanka Mancabella. Yeah, a little bit like Gundagai.
In Jancis's enormous
book here,
I think she devotes about a sentence to it, and just calls it a neutral white variety from the Balkans.
Yeah, it's not exactly neutral though. I was quite surprised to find it's not exactly neutral. There was actually quite an amazing character from it, but I was not aware that there was anyone else that had actually made a straight variety from this apart from Amato Vino, and that's when Lockie was like, "I'll prove it to you. Coriol makes one." I was like, "Coriol doesn't fucking make one."
Wow.
Who are you kidding? Well, you did.
It's probably a period that Mark wants to forget. But,
it was good. He dropped a bottle off. We drank it the last couple of days. It's fantastic.
He planted Grillo.
Oh, he was stung as well.
Yeah. So he planted Grillo, and then
it wasn't Grillo.
It was Slanka Mancabella.
So who brings in these great varieties that end up?
I don't know.
Because I'm going to say the CSIRO has cocked it up a bunch of times in a big way. Maybe they should not try their hand at bringing in great varieties. Is just or maybe testing them beforehand. All right, the comments are down. Laura's going to let you know what is coming up. I don't know what it is. That's for sure. He does. Have you played the options game before?
I couldn't even see the colour, so...
It's really disorienting, isn't it?
Yeah. Well...
Oh man, this smells amazing. This smells amazing. Oh man, we haven't had a wine like this on the show, I think, ever in 80 episodes. Mainly because we get all the cool kids in the natty crowd, and they like to, stump you with some really sort of like...
I'm definitely not cool.
No, but this is what I was raised on. This is dope. This is awesome. See, people need to have an appreciation for wines like this. This is just, if that's not one of the most amazing Rieslings, I don't know what is. This is, hopefully it is Riesling. It actually smells like day old Slanka Mancabella, actually. To be honest, no, seriously, it had like a really cool TDN, kerosene.
Yeah.
They call it trimethyl dihydronaphthalene, I believe is the term. Stephen.
I reckon you could texture the inside of those glasses so it subdues the smell as well. Really pushes it to the next level.
That is delicious. And it might not even be Riesling. I don't think it is. No, it's just... Oh, that is succulent. It's like drinking high acid honey, but bone dry. That's wicked cool. That is wicked cool. All right. Would you like to ask the questions, or would you like Laura to ask the questions?
I'm a terrible wine nerd. I hardly ever play options games, so I might get them wrong.
All right.
Is there an order to questions?
There's like a flow chart.
Is there? See, I'll just go off cuff and start asking the wrong questions.
It's like, does a winemaker have brown hair or not?
Yeah. Let's let Laura do it.
All right. I think it's a white wine.
It is a white wine. Is it old world or new world?
I think it's New World.
It is New World.
There was an inflection there. Am I expecting something? It is New World?
Is it from New Zealand, Australia, or South Africa?
This could be like some really cool NZ Rizza. This could be it's just got the flavor development there that's not out of balance with the acid, so it feels like the acid's actually this is a brilliant wine. What do you think of the wine?
I've tried it before, but I haven't tried it for quite a long time.
This is dope.
And yeah, it's actually it's going pretty well, I think.
This is amazing.
It's aging quite well. Mm.
I think it's Aussie.
It is Australian.
Cool. It's a matter of fact. I love it. Okay, we're Aussie. We're
all right. So state: are we in WA, Victoria, or South Australia?
See, like, this is the thing about sort of Australian, and I do believe this is Riesling. Like, it's one of those things when you smell something you're like, that's Pinot, that's Cabernet, that you can pick up these things.
Can't get it out of your head.
I can't get Riesling out of my head, and then I'm like, between W and SA. We said, what was the other option? I don't think it's Victoria. But this could be Franklin Estate. This is really good Riesling. This is really fucking good Riesling. Could be Franklin Estate, WA, Isolation Ridge, But I'm going to go South Australian.
It's South Australian, yes.
Yeah, right. Because I think there's a classic lime-licked character here that I'm just jumping straight to Claire on.
Yeah. So is it from Clare Valley, Adelaide Hills, or McLaren Vale?
I think it's Claire.
It is not.
Right. Okay. Where's it from?
Well, Adelaide Hills or McLaren Vale.
I need to keep guessing. Well, I haven't seen anything of this like quality being pieced together so well from the Vale before, so I'm going to go Adelaide Hills.
It's McLaren Vale.
Wow.
It's like your forklift course where the guy goes, how about that answer?
Wow, definitely got that wrong. That's amazing. That's amazing.
All right, so given that it's McLaren Vale, do you still think it's Riesling?
No. Is this some like back vintage Fiano? Because if it is, I'm also impressed with how it's aging. It's like a massive statement for the variety. Like, oh man, I mean, if it's not that, I've never seen Chenin age like this before. And they're the only sort of predominant whites that are like between Chenin and Fiano and maybe Vermentino. They're the main whites. And this has got a bit of age to it as well. And it's not young.
All right, what's the vintage?
Am I going to get options or do you want to just stab?
Is it 2012, 2015, or 2017?
I think it's 2015.
It's 2012.
Okay, there you go. It's really disorienting, the vintage thing, because it's one of those things that if you go 2012, you're like giving the wine a bit of credence. No, you're not giving a wine a bit of credence. Like if you go, it's like 2017, you're kind of slamming it a little bit, going, it's looking a little bit premature. But yeah, that's 2012. Is this like the first Fiano you made or something?
No.
All right,
this has to be Riesling. Surely.
Is it Riesling, Chenin Blanc, or Viognier?
It's Riesling.
No.
What the fuck is it? What is it?
It's Chenin.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I've never seen Chenin age like this before. That's so cool. Where's it from? Oh, that is so cool. So when was this released?
It gets held back a couple of years. Oh God, I don't know when that was released. Maybe 14.
That is so cool.
15.
That is Coriol the Optimist. They were optimistically thinking that Chenin would become Riesling.
Optimistically making a reserve. No, optimistically making a reserve Chenin.
That is so cool.
It's Mark's sense of humour.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, is it trademarked? Could we do the Optimist Fiano version? Yeah. It's like, that is aging incredibly well. I would not in a million years would I have thought it was from the Vale or from Chenin.
Yeah, so I think I'm one of the very few people that absolutely loves Chenin.
Very few people.
Not many around.
Oh man,
really.
Have you met any of the Natty Wine crowd?
Yeah,
man, Wye Valley.
They're bringing it back. They're bringing it back. But,
yeah, in their own way.
Yeah.
In their own way.
But yeah, no,
that is so cool.
And so like I was lucky enough to try some of Coriol's like really old Chenins, like 90s sort of stuff, and they just age. And these things are under cork as well, and they just age like amazingly.
Well, if you look at Vouvray,
you
can access 1970s, 1960s Vouvray for not like you don't need to spend an arm and a leg.
Yeah.
Chenin Blanc is, that age-odd question that is quite often asked at wanky wine dinners. If you had one grape to drink for the rest of your life, the correct answer technically is Chenin Blanc in my mind, because you can have off-dry, dry, skin contact, fortified, sparkling, young, old. you know, you're gonna have such a width. There's such a width and breadth of style within the one variety.
Yeah.
Chardonnay is sort of like this, but not to the width and breadth of Chenin. And that's why I make the argument for Fiano going. I think Fiano and Chenin. People will often ask me what is Fiano like, and so it's like Riesling and Pinot Gris had a love child.
Yeah.
But that's kind of Chenin.
Yeah, and depending
Anyway.
on where it's grown, you get different flavour profiles and things. But yeah, I think, you know, going back to, I don't want to talk about Chenin too much, to like, you know, give you too many clues. But you know, going back to these premium, you know, expensive whites, I think Chenin is definitely a white variety that you could, you know, easily make, you know, $100 bottle
Of course,
white wine out of.
Do you think it's because French ones exist? Do you reckon there's like a
It probably helps,
market
but I also
perception?
think it's got the structure, it's got the like acid behind it. It will age, like, and it'll do it well. Like, it'll do it really well. I've
Yeah,
tried,
wow.
you know, and I was lucky to try some old Fianos as well, and I've still got a few, and they do age pretty well, but I still think Chenin is probably better
Yeah, right.
aging. Not better
Ian's
variety,
fighting words.
but better aging.
When we were lucky enough to try some Fiano di Avellino out of the 70s when we were in Avellino last. And that was a massive sort of eye-opening thing for us. I think we just got so much to learn from those particular varieties and their ability to mature. We just don't have the data. No one's ever done it. A couple of people chiming in. Firstly, the code is cracked. Lucky George, yep, definitely fucked that one up. Nothing wrong with Gunda Guy, Karen. Absolutely, dog on a tucker box. It's fantastic. Alex has such a good poker face. Make him work for it, Laura. That's fantastic. I still have some 08 Optimist.
Yeah.
Warm vintage, very warm vintage.
Yeah.
Would be interesting. Great wine, built to last, and this is next level. Like Jill Gordon-Smith chiming in as well. Lovely to hear from you, Jill. Yeah, that really is next level. Like, if I don't think if anything is called, you know, Franklin River Riesling matured, and it ends up being McLaren Vale Chenin.
I did nearly
Like-
pull a bottle of, it was actually Alcumi out of,
Oh right.
yeah, out of the shelf. And I was like, oh, I'm going to take, you know, I don't know, take something that's kind of relevant, I suppose, but yeah.
Well, do you do a Chenin?
I do. It's much younger.
Can we crack it?
Yeah, much younger.
2019.
Fresher
So,
version.
because we've had a question come in from the crowd. What is it about Chenin that makes it age so well?
Well, I think acid is the underlying element of anything aging well. How it was made, I guess. So a lot of these were made reasonably reductively, I suppose. The older Chenins.
I'm going to press that button again.
Yes.
Getting basic.
Basic.
Making things reductively.
So not too much, not too much air initially, so that they then, I guess, age slower in the bottle. I think. We're spoiled now with screw caps because they keep things so fresh. They do still age.
The equivalent of a DM10, I'm told, in terms of oxygen ingress and egress.
Yeah. Well, and then you can get all the different fancy inners for stelvins and things. But I think that we sort of tried a bit of that at Coriol as well. But I don't think anyone's taken it on in a great way. But yeah, so I guess high acid, reasonably minimal intervention when you're making it, not too much oak or
Did I
anything.
literally just do that? I blended your two fucking Chenins
That's right. Was it
on
good?
camera. I'm going to go back and check it.
good?
It's actually pretty cool. Maybe you should get like two different vintages. What happens when you're 80 days in, people?
But this is like, it's from an old vineyard. It's from actually one of the vineyards that Coriol used to buy fruit from donkeys years ago, before they had their own. So quite a small little vineyard, Bullet Springs, but pretty fresh winemaking, tank ferment, stored in barrels because didn't have a small enough tank, sort of thing. So older barrels, logistics. But with a little bit of laze to provide a bit of texture.
You got to try this. It tastes like jelly beans. Seriously, there is one of the most, And this is going to be one of the world's most basic.
Not like the popcorn and vomit jelly beans. From,
No, not from Jelly Belly.
Jelly Belly.
Yeah, no. These are awesome. These are the jelly beans that when you're at your pharmacy with your mum and you were like, oh, give me a little glucose ones. Like, fucking yeah, I'm into this.
Yeah, so Chenin is my other love. It's probably hard. It's finding something that's harder to sell than Chenin, than Fiano. Sorry, it is difficult. And I reckon Chenin's the one. Chenin's the one. If you want to start a wine brand, pick really sort of obscure varieties that people like. Everyone likes.
Tell me about it, bro.
Everyone likes them, but they're like, well, this is my Sauvignon Blanc list. There's about 45 of them, and yeah, I've got room for one. One Fiano, so yeah.
This is like I go into every single like retail outlet. I'm like, you've got your wall of Sauvignon Blanc, your wall of Chardonnay. Where's your wall of Fiano?
Yeah.
And they just kind of blink and look
We've
at
got
me.
one in the others section.
The other section. I'm like, that's why it's never going to be in its own section because it's in the other section. You do realise it's a cart before the horse situation.
Yeah.
Sharon Coles had a bottle of that a couple of weeks ago at home. Bottle of this. Sharon, bottle of the Sherrah. What did you think of it? That's really cool, man.
Thank you, Sharon.
So what next for you? You've got the cool lineup. Are you all done and dusted and you're just going to do the same thing, or are you playing around with anything? What fascinates you at the moment?
Well, I mean, so we sort of decided when we started the brand that it was going to be contained to McLaren Vale. Mm-hmm. We weren't going to step outside there, and I guess I chose the varieties that that I'd worked with at Coriol, like working with so many different ones that I thought really worked well. So it's just Chenin, Fiano, Nero, Grenache, and Shiraz.
Cool.
At this point,
Prosecco.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's not much Prosecco going in the Vale. It's very hard to find.
But it yields like crazy. So if you ever plant a vineyard, plant that because,
Mark's
30
got a
tonne per
great-
acre is fantastic.
Yeah, great one. In the cooler regions it will, and I'd love to because like my wife's a real sort of traditionalist and she doesn't like pet nats or anything, so she won't touch my pet nat because it's not like
She
champagne.
must have been stoked when we discovered it.
It's not champagne, basically. But yeah, she does like Prosecco, so that would be a good one. I think Pickpool is another interesting variety that would work quite well. Up in Mildura, the alternate show late last year, and talking to a few guys as you sort of do up there, start nosing around and finding out what's going on. I think one of the varieties that I'd sort of wanted to look at while I was up there, one of the girls I work with, hello Amelia, asked me to sort of find out about it, which is Falangina.
Oh, yeah.
And I reckon that's a similar sort of ilk to Fiano, I suppose.
Very similar.
Climate-wise, acid-wise.
Absolutely.
So that's going to be an interesting one. So I sort of did a bit of research into that while I was up there.
Falangina's cool, man.
And there's a few people that spoke to Kim Chalmers, and they've obviously got some. They've made a couple. She said they're not sort of releasing the vine stock yet, but they will. And there's a few people got their names down. So
cool.
It'll be interesting to see this once it goes in around the place.
I'm pretty confident there is I don't think it's a DOCG, I think it's a DOC called La Crema Christi, which I think is based on Falangina in Campania, which is amazing, very textual, super textual, great variety. I'm fascinated at the moment with Greco. I never was. There's a lot of great varieties that it's taken a while for me to come around to. Barbera was one of them. I didn't like Barbera. I like what Barbera does to Nebbiolo. I like what Barbera does to other varieties. That seems to like waking it up. Yeah. Barbera alone, I'm still yet to see one that kind of makes me sort of write home and go, yeah, this is.
It doesn't have an O on the end.
It doesn't have an O on the end.
Neither does Falangina.
I didn't realise that. That's so cool.
Basically, we have figured out that the only Italian varieties that will work
are the ones that end in
O
or an E.
Basically, from a
Sangiovese
consumer standpoint, Sangiovese had a good.
Sangio, we've actually just.
Sangio had a good running head start. Yeah. But I think it's really down to the O's now.
That's the best.
It is.
That is the best.
Negro Amaro is starting to come through. You're seeing more of those. Grillo's coming through.
I just hope that people are paying attention to not just planting anything that ends in an O and hoping it's going to do with but actually like paying attention to what goes well and what soil type and rainfall rates and stuff like that. Because we saw what happened with Tempranillo. It just helps if it's got no.
Yeah.
I think we're just, it's like, I think it's the Davo, Jono, going down to the Bolo,
That's it.
Brendo. Yeah. All right, we can't definitely let you leave here without trying your hand at blind tasting yourself. So we've got 3 bottles here that are wrapped up. I don't know what they are. They've been selected for, by Noah and then wrapped up. So it's, and I don't have any idea. I think I mixed them all up as well. So
Pick one.
Pick one and give it to Laura. And Laura will know what to do.
I just pick the closest.
There we go. Oh yeah, that's it. Everyone usually picks.
Go the closest.
You don't have a corkscrew? No.
Do you want me to pick another one?
There was one right here.
I can pick another one.
Amelia Wally. Oh, Amelia. That Amelia.
There we go.
Oh, hello.
She actually did say you have to give me a shout out.
Oh man.
So
Hi, Amelia.
I managed
Shout
to,
out.
I managed to work it in.
Well done. Now, Fallingin is fantastic. Sue Hodder. Hey. Hi, Alexa Brennan, Love the Labels. Hey, thanks so much for chiming in, Sue. That's really cool.
Hello, Sue.
And Alessandra Ragazzo as well. Hi, Alex. Oh, man, we got all the love. All the love. On a Monday night. How was your weekends, everyone? I want to know, have they relaxed restrictions in your area, and did you manage to go out and enjoy yourselves? Because, have you managed to have your first frothy yet?
Yes, I was
it
worth
it?
at the pub. Was it last Friday? Whenever, pretty early.
How did it feel?
Well, I got in trouble straight away
Oh, really?
because you had to have a meal.
Oh.
So I went and sat with friends who had a meal,
Ah, that's how you do it.
and then just got the mate. Go get me a beer. So he went and got me a beer.
So what you did when you were 17?
And then, of course, the manager came out and told me to stop enjoying my beer because I hadn't eaten. So I bought some garlic bread. But yeah, it did taste very sweet.
It's pretty like life-changing. There's like the whole delayed gratification thing, and 80 or 90 days is like seriously delayed gratification for a frothy.
Yeah.
I think it's too much.
Yeah.
I mean, for good reasons, we understand, but still. Maybe there should have been some pivoting by the beer companies to install taps in people's homes. Just saying, that would have been very much welcome.
Mini kegs. Yes.
Ice cream truck with beer. Yes, that's awesome.
Yes. What music? What music would you play? Like Cold Chisel?
Yeah.
We had Thunderbus giving it a go. So
Yeah.
Thunderbus was pretty cool. Thunderbus. The Thunderbus. The Thunderdot. Thunder on the Thunderbus.
Thunderbus.
Yeah. Mike.
As close as we got.
I was a
Mike-
bit concerned about the cork.
All right, okay. Let's have a bit of a gander. Great dinner at Lee Street Wine Room on Saturday night. Fantastic. That's not corked. Well, is it? A little bit. It was a bit.
I know, but it's not giving anything away either.
It's almost like a black
Tricky
olive
one.
tapenade sort of dealio. Alex, you're too old for the Eaton's cheating approach. Jesus, Sue Hodder just throwing you under the bus. I love it.
I was trying to get away with it, but yeah. Anyway.
Amelia chiming in saying, thanks, boss, I've made it. Oh, Amelia, we miss you. Hope you're doing very well. All right, this is a bit wacko, isn't it?
Oh, I don't even know.
Don't. All right. I'm going to shove the comments down. Laura's going to let us know what the go is. Yeah.
That's always a good start.
It's Laura's laughing. So it's a multi-regional, multi-varietal blend across multi-countries.
It's got that real dew on builder's plastic kind of aroma to it.
I love it.
Sort of fresh, but not. Slightly spritzy.
There is like a really distinct black olive tapenade thing going on, and it is slightly spritzy during its bit of re-ferment and bottle. Do you think it's intentional?
Well, it's only just sort of dissolved. Obviously, the cork hadn't pushed out. Oh,
It tastes pretty good.
yeah.
It doesn't taste that bad. The smell, though, it's a little bit acrid. There's a little bit of acridity.
I reckon it's
It's what are we? Tempestural? Tempestic?
I reckon when you have a glass in another hour or so, it'll be.
I think it's going to open up.
be
I think it's going to
singing,
open up. It's it does taste remarkable. Quite remarkable.
All right. Do you want me to just guess, or do you want to ask questions?
You're going to have it. Well, we're both playing the game. I have no idea what the fuck it is.
All right, is it red or white?
I think it's red.
Red.
It's not about the tannin and body richness.
It's white.
Fuck off. Seriously?
It's kind of browny orange.
It's a white variety.
Yeah, it's a white variety.
That does not taste white at all.
Is it Old World or New World?
God, I was going to say it was like Sangiovese or something.
It's like a...
Now it's white.
Really? Really?
Okay.
Yeah, right, okay. This one's going to be fun.
New.
No, this is... Look, I'm going to say it's Old World only because, firstly, I don't think anyone's brave enough to release something like this in the New World. Although I think there's been attempts, they typically haven't. Like, this isn't microbial. There's not a breadiness, there's not a mousiness here. There's not a... Actually drinks pretty well, drinks pretty clean. I think the tannin is quite remarkable. It's actually really quite ripe tannin. I'm thinking about white varieties, ripe tannin, made in this way, still clean, probably good pH. Probably from a hands-off winemaker that hasn't added shit to this. With a white variety that you just by the white variety. No, I am as well. Like, we're so confident on this stuff, and it's like, what the fuck? This is incredible. But I'm gonna say it's Old World because of that reason. It's probably for some like Slovenia or some kind of like crazy place like that, maybe.
It's like a Megabella.
It's like
It is Old World.
It is Old World.
Oh, it is Old World. So is it from France, Slovenia, or Georgia?
I reckon it's one of the weird ones. I say weird ones, as in like it's one of the ones that we don't usually see inside Australia. Just if that's from France, I'm screwed. Maybe it's from like the deep south of France, like a muscat that's been on skins. A tannic muscat, maybe. I think maybe it's a from was it Sibily? Tsibla? Like a Georgian.
Yeah, I'm going to say Georgia just because it's quite weird.
It's French.
Hang on, everybody's tuned out.
It's French. It's a white man. This has stumped us. This is actually quite difficult. It drinks really clean. It drinks incredibly well. It actually looks and feels like a red wine. Absolutely. I have no idea what it is. Okay. Where
so
subregions?
is it from Alsace, Provence, or Loire?
God. That's specific. I'm just going to go Provence. I'm going to go with my deep south call and say it's Provence, just for fun. If it's from, it could be from Loire. It could be like a Chenin on skins.
Could be, yeah. I'll go Loire.
Yep, it's Loire.
It's Loire. Okay, it's one of the natty boys. Out of Loire, I reckon. Okay. Variety? Is it one variety? It is.
Yep, single variety. So is it Sauvignon Blanc or Chenin?
Chenin.
Yeah, I agree. It's reductive Chenin. 71.
Correct.
Oh, good. At least you got one for dignity.
We won.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
That's why I cackled before.
What was the vintage? Vintage on it. This is non-vintage.
Do you want to take a guess?
I'll check a stat of what I think it is. I think it's 2015. 2016. Think about it. 16.
You should have gone with your gut. It's 15.
It is 15. Yeah, right. What is this? What is this? Who brings it in? Lo-Fi Wines, of course, brings it in. This is crazy. It's the Blanc de Maceration. A white of a maceration. It's an orange wine.
Mm-hmm.
Macerated wine.
You can see it through the glass even.
Orangey brown. Laura was right. It's Dew on builder's plastic that is almost as good as motorboating a parsnip. That's too good. Yeah, wow, that is that's an incredible wine. I think it's got a bit of time to blow off.
So it's
I think a little bit.
biodynamic,
Yeah.
and it's from a couple that only have 13 hectares of vines.
Only 13 hectares is like a decent amount of vines to look after. If you're a couple,
The tannin and the fruit though on the palate, I thought it was like I thought it was a Sangio glass.
yeah.
A really light Sangio, but damn black glasses.
I actually thought it was like a Trousseau blend of something that sort of reductive smell. And there's a big difference between sort of, I guess, reduction and reductive. Reduction being, I guess, reductive techniques in a cellar, not keeping exposed to air. And then what we see here is actually H2S, like a burnt rubber gunflint thing going on. The tannin ripeness on that is phenomenal. But that is like spelt.
Nice.
I know. It's actually really quite enjoyable. I feel like I need some really stinky cheese. Yeah. Really, really stinky cheese. Something that's I think that's it. Orange wine is I have a theory about orange wine that it's the ultimate wine for all the food types that we really struggle to match wine with.
Yeah.
I'm like a big believer that there is a wine for every meal, literally every meal, including beef jerky and wasabi lays. You know, we've proven this.
But this is clean. Like this is quite a clean.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
I would want to
Yeah,
have
right.
stinky cheese, fermented meats, offal, something as heady as this. Even actually a lot of Thai food.
Fish sauce.
Fish sauce, yeah. Steve, that's an awesome call.
Or, cave-aged cheddar, it's got that cave funk to it.
A bit of cave funk on the cave-aged cheddar coming in from Steve.
Yeah. Valerie will know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. That is next level. Well, guys,
Dusty fungi. Yeah.
dusty fungi. Maybe a bit
Like
of
that cellar
porcini.
smell you walk into an old cellar, like back to your place, Steve.
My house.
You go upstairs, and you smell like that sort of cavey.
Guys, that has brought us to the end of tonight's show. Thank you so much for chiming in. Of course, we're at 6 p.m. And for those who are regular avid watchers, the Unico Zealots out there, thank you so much for all the support over the course of the last, 80 days or 90 days. We will not be chiming in tomorrow because we're now going to move from what we're doing as gradually COVID-19 starts to... well, I guess hasn't been really fixed yet, has it? But we just start to, I guess the restrictions are starting to be relaxed. We do feel quite strongly that people should be going out and supporting their local pubs, wine bars, and other restaurants as they try to give things a good hard crack to get back on their feet. So we don't want to be keeping you at home or even giving you an incentive to stay at home on a Friday, Saturday or Sunday. And so we're moving back to the 2 times that we think that you really do need wine, a bit of wine chat, and maybe it's a little bit too awkward to ask your mates out on a Monday for a drink. So you can stay at home. We'll still be here on a Monday and on a Wednesday. So the next time we'll be chiming in, it will be on Wednesday. Alex, mate, thank you so much for coming in.
You're not going to do Brendan's pub chat?
I mean, we could. We absolutely could. If you really want.
I think you need a rest.
I need a rest.
You need a rest.
My liver needs a detox.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much. Alex, thank you so much
Pleasure.
for coming on.
You.
And seriously, the wines that you're producing are so incredibly exciting and so incredibly relevant. This between Nero, Fiano, and what you're doing with Chenin. That's I'll take jelly babies any day. Seriously, even the vomit ones. They were fantastic.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, thank you so much, and we'll catch you on